back if you are already a subscriber, and welcome if you are new. I am Natasha. I call myself a birth chart astrological counselor, as I like to use the tool of using the birth chart and the archetypes and connecting that with counseling and helping to use that as self-improvement, self-awareness, as well as understanding and being empathetic to other people as they have their own personal chart and their own characteristics, opposition squares, all of that stuff. So everyone is going through their own challenge, and at the end of the day, you can only change yourself or be more mindful of others, while you have to be patient and wait if you are really that great. I didn't mean to rhyme. So today I'm going to talk about Sagittarius. So Sagittarius is the mutable fire sign representing the 9th house. So Sagittarius represents, because I like to talk about the body parts they represent a little bit, as it kind of relates to what the sign represents. So Sagittarius, think of the centaur. If you ever watched Hercules or any of those old movies, the centaur is a half man, half horse, whatever, donkey, whatever. It's a half thing. Or if you watched Harry Potter, there is a scene where there is a centaur. He looks like an avatar centaur though. But yeah, it is a mixture of the two different creatures stuck into one body. So we are thinking about the hips, thighs, sciatic nerve, the liver, and just in general movement, physical strength in order to move long distances and take the long adventurous journey, and giving them that strength to expand and explore. Because if you don't have strong thighs, strong hips, you won't be able to travel that far, just like metaphorically speaking. So Sagittarius, it's mutable, and all the fire signs have this kind of passionate quality to them. They go after whatever they're passionate in, and if the fire is not burning, they have a hard time pursuing that. You know, so we have Aries that will just like start, it's the ignition on that lighter. We have Leo, which is more of a fixed loyalty, a fixed big heart of a fire sign, very playful and childlike and creative. And now we have the mutable fire sign, which is like the nomad or the adventurer. Like, what is out there? You know, there's so much out there, you know, to explore. You know, like, there has to be more. There has to be, the grass is greener on the other side. Like, I can't just stay here and that feels okay. Like, I have to just explore what else is out there. I want to learn about the wonders of the world. I want to learn about other people and other cultures. I want to learn about what is over there that nobody has explored. No one has dared to explore. Let's go figure it out. And, you know, like, we can totally do it. Like, that's it. Like, very optimistic. May not always think things through as to what they're getting into, because they're so optimistic that, you know, it'll work out. You know, like, if it's meant to be, it's meant to be. You're always going to learn. So if you stay in one place and close the door, stay in your little cave, you're not going to learn, grow, and expand. You know, like, there's always more, you know, there's more people, not just one. There's more countries, cultures, languages, ways of doing things, ways of believing things. It's not just one way. So it's always kind of that big, expansive gas planet of Jupiter, which is the ruler of Sagittarius. So it's one of the teacher planets. So we have Saturn for Capricorn and a little bit of Aquarius, which is a strict teacher, and it's like you wish that you didn't get that teacher in class, but due to that teacher, you're gonna make it really far because they were so mean. And the other teacher is Jupiter, which is like a different approach. So it's more optimistic. Let's learn and grow and explore. And, you know, like, there's just so much more. And sometimes they can come off as kind of like a know-it-all a little bit, you know, because they have pride of just knowing so much, and whatever that may be, like knowing all these different little things that they just know and nobody else does, or they know a variety of languages, or they've just been and explored to so many places that they just know more than you, that it can come off as like arrogant, or the things that they say is just like insensitive, even though they didn't really mean for that to happen. It can be an energy of Sagittarius. Sagittarius is kind of restless, impulsive. They struggle with patience, and they struggle with commitment, you know, because they're always thinking like, what they call it, FOMO, fear of missing out. Is that what it? Yeah, they're like, they have the fear of missing out syndrome. So they always have to, you know, explore more. They don't want to be like, oh, like, is this really it? Like, I'm gonna stick to this, or like, you know, like, what if, you know, there's something better, you know, out there, and I only have one life, and I'm gonna live it like this, you know. So they may try, or they do enjoy it for a period of time, and of course it depends on what else is going on in your chart and what your personal morals, belief systems, and values are. But it's just this energy of like, I want more, I want to expand, let's do more, let's go have adventures, let's go do this, like, what about this, let's try and do that, or let's learn about this thing, did you know about this, or, you know. So it's kind of that kind of energy. It represents like philosophies, so in a traditional way, like actual religion or belief systems. I personally don't think it's that tied to actual religion. It's just whatever your higher belief system is, whether that is literally a religion or just way of living your life. It's a personal philosophy of how do you approach life. You know, do you approach it as like, you know, the world is at our fingers and there's always ways that you can always make it work, you know. It's not limited, you know, like, oh no, it's not doom and gloom, you didn't pass this test and now you're not going to go to college and you're going to be homeless. It's like, no, it's like you can learn from anything, or you just go apply for one little job, and then you get promoted to another job, and it leads to another thing, and you just go out and explore it, and then if you don't like it, just quit and go do something else. Like, I don't get it, you know. It's just a different philosophy, so that depends on your philosophy. And if it works or does it not work for you, does it really feel in alignment with who you truly are, or are you just doing it because everybody else does it, or you were told that this is the right way? Because there are other belief systems, and if there's multiple belief systems, multiple cultures, multiple languages, then there can't be just, you know, like, which one is the right one, or are they all kind of similar? It's just they had a different way of communicating it, you know. Because think of Sagittarius as like international travel, international languages, international belief systems, international trade, supply chain management across the world. You know, it's that big zoomed out scope of how do things kind of work and mix and mingle. So it's kind of like a teacher philosopher of something higher, way higher. You know, like if you think of a religion, it's something higher, and it's trying to be taught to the people who don't quite get it. You know, like how do you communicate that in order for the people to like be on the right path or live a better life or be more at peace, have strength and resilience with the hardships of being a human being. You know, what is that philosophy in order to help give that belief system to people who are just trying to live their human experience or challenges, whatever. You know, so you have different philosophies. It can also be higher education. So your actual institutions, medical institutions, colleges, universities, all of those things that are just, you know, on that higher level of thinking, which is the opposite of Gemini. So we have Sagittarius, which is bigger belief systems, more philosophical if you were to write a dissertation for a PhD. And then the opposite sign is Gemini. You're like in the introductory levels of learning, communicating. You know, you learn from the textbook or you memorize whoever wrote the textbook, you are learning and memorizing from that higher teacher, you know, or, you know, Gemini, it's also a teacher, Gemini, but it's like your smaller localized community of a teacher, like grade 1 in Cincinnati, I don't know, at one school, and that school district has a certain way of how they operate their school system, so it's zoomed in. And Sagittarius, think of zoomed out, you know, so it's the opposite yet similar. And you got Gemini's the air sign, Sagittarius is a fire sign, so it's a little bit different. So there's that. It's also rules publishing, anything that is published and marketed. So your textbooks, your books. It can also kind of be like something like this, like it's a video of teaching something or teaching a philosophy, teaching different ways of what something is. Like, what has this person explored, ventured off to, researched, you know, went off into the land, almost like maybe a journalist, you know, actually went out there, figured out what is actually happening, what is their perspective and collective data of what is actually going on, and now they're going to present it, write it to the public who didn't do that, you know, because exploring the unknown is very intimidating and scary for a lot of people. They most likely travel to or explore places that are closer to them or speak the same language as them, or they feel safe to travel to. So Sagittarius energy is more of like, oh, like I'll go to India and like I won't speak a word of the language, but I'm just gonna go jump on a plane, take my backpack and figure it out. And I'll just have to work with what I learn, like what they say I'm allowed to do, not allowed to do. Like, oh, they do things like that, and I'm in their country, so I need to respect their way of doing things, even though I have my own beliefs. So they are like, they explore, and then they learn and teach and possibly report that back to the people around them in order to spread greater knowledge of that is not limited. So that's kind of the archetype of Sagittarius. They can be a little reckless, careless, you know, because they can be thinking passionately about what they want to do or approach, and If it's not well thought out, then you can run into problems, or you can make a decision and, you know, leave a good thing. It was very secure, whatever, and you just still wanted to explore other things, whatever is going on, whether you didn't learn what is valuable or not valuable, what is important to you or not important to you. Maybe you didn't just, you haven't come to this new evolution about yourself, about what that truly means to you and what you value, what you are willing to stick with. And then you just go off, keep exploring. And now you can kind of look back and almost like rate people of, oh, that was a really good thing, or that one was like, oh, that was an experience and it was an adventure and I don't regret it. But like, oh, now you can look back and do a review and analysis and write a textbook about it, because you've actually gone off and did the adventure, which came with boring times, adventurous times, wild stories. So it's kind of fun. Like if you have a short period here on Earth in life, they have, really tried to live it, as an archetypes, because of course you can choose to not do those things, regardless if you're a Sagittarius or not. But that is just what the archetype represents, is adventure, exploration, like long exploration, being a nomad, like living from one place to another and to another, like living in one location for 3 months to a year and then changing to another place, so you're like a backpacker, a nomad. You don't want to be locked down. You want to be free. Like all the fire signs tend to want to be free in some way. And like you just don't want to be tied down, because that will be limiting, and you're a gas planet and you want to just keep expanding. And you're like, no, like I don't want to be stuck with that. Or like your belief systems are just to fly free, and you're a free spirit, which is great. So that's why it's always important to communicate with whoever you're being a little nomad with. Like, what are their belief systems? What are their intentions? What are they wanting? And if you at least know what you want and don't want, like, don't be afraid to speak your mind, hopefully in a nice way, and say like, oh, I really like you. I appreciate, like I value what you have to offer and bring, but I just can't get myself to like lock myself down, like I'm here for a good time, a short time and a good time, and having like adventures, and I want to do that with someone because it's more fun to do those things with another person or a group of people, having a group who just share the same values and we just go on different adventures with. And if that doesn't align with you, then I don't want to hurt your feelings, because we don't have the same value system. And this way you will prevent craziness that you may regret, So always communicate. If you're not at that stage where you're like, I've traveled around the world, I've seen every single country that there is to be. Getting older, and traveling is not as easy as it used to be. Like my knees hurt and joints hurt, and now I'm ready to settle down. And so that is when you can find, or now really know what you want and what makes a good relationship to be kind of committed to. So you might know a lot in order to kind of pinpoint what kind of person you would want, or if you share the same real philosophy and values. So that can be something to think about in the relationship department. If you are a Sagittarius or are in some kind of situationship or relationship with a Sagittarius, communication. What else? Just for funsies, like a personal belief system, if it's not an actual religion, like, because we are kind of our thoughts, in a way. If you think about things over and over and over again, eventually you may become that, or be self-defeating, or like your approach and vantage point in life, or how other people operate, will be whatever is inside your head, even if it is true or completely false, and you're preventing yourself from progressing. So one little thing, because I believe in reincarnation, I kind of grew up in kind of a mix, like a Buddhist philosophy, kind of half Thai, and the other side is kind of like Christian, just typical Western belief systems. And so I kind of took on a little mixture. So in reincarnation, you can think about, so this is a personal philosophy of how to live your day-to-day life. And it's like, the more good that you do in life, the rewards will come, whether you see that in this lifetime or in the next lifetime. So if you took advantage too much, or if you lied, cheat, and stole, to get your way, take advantage in this lifetime, and you didn't eventually get that karma back, which is Saturn, in this lifetime, you will now have to owe or repay in the next lifetime. You will have to, somehow the energies have to balance out, whether you get to balance that out in this lifetime, or you're going to be reincarnated and have more suffering in the next because you did too much or took advantage too much in the past. So this way you understand and feel what you did, like what is on the other side, but you're unconscious to it. So if you are born in a very poor family, either you were just born in that family in order to become a successful person, to create that opposition, and that is what you chose, or you have karma to pay from past lifetimes, and like you owe some kind of energy, whether that's an actual money exchange or lack, and now you have to work your way back up. But if you did a lot of good things, or you gave back, you donated with good intention, not like you're trying to gain something in return, you just gave because you had more than enough, or you came to a point where you just could, or even a tiny bit, even if you're poor and you still gave unconditionally, then those rewards will eventually come back to you, even if it takes time in this lifetime, or those rewards will be just granted with you easily in the next lifetime. So that, whether that is true or false, it is just a personal philosophy on how to approach life and how to make decisions on a day-to-day basis. One little other thing, since I was 8 years old, and I picked this up in Thailand or whatever, I wasn't actually told to do this or believe in this way. But in Thailand, like, you do see poor people on the street, like actual, like here in America, it looks different, and over there, especially like 20-30 years ago, it looks different. If you actually go to a country that is not as abundant as like a Western society, I just developed this, my own little philosophy whenever I eat, is that I have to eat every single grain of rice or whatever, every single piece of food that is on my plate, because if I don't, then I am being wasteful, and food is not something to waste. Like, if you've ever been actually hungry and starving, then, you know, like you would want literally anything. So like when people say, oh, I'm hungry, and then they have a food full of fridge, like a food full of fridge. They have a fridge full of food, and they have plenty of food, and then they close the fridge because they don't want anything that's in the fridge. They want something delicious, you know, or they want something else. They're craving something, or they want to escape, you know, they want to eat their feelings, whatever whatever the person is going through. You know, like you're not actually hungry. You like, you want something. You have food. People who are really hungry and starving, they would die to have anything in your fridge. Like, you have food and you're saying that you're hungry, while there are people out there in countries that are really starving who would be like, you're insane. You are not hungry. You are greedy. You are gluttonous. You know, like you have food and you are being wasteful, or you take so much food and you just dump it in the trash and you say like, I just don't want it. So wasteful, you know. So the perspective is very different. So ever since I was 8, like literally every single meal, if I take it, I literally eat it. It almost looks like the bowl or the plate was licked clean. And if I really don't finish it, it was really that bad. Like, the restaurant is going to close within 2 to 3 months if I don't like it, or I'll just simply not take it, you know, like someone else can have it. So that is just a little philosophy. So it's like, if I at least not be wasteful with my food, I don't overtake, and I always eat what is on my plate. If it's healthy, like it's not like poisonous and bad or whatever, I don't know. Then hopefully I won't be reborn into a life where I am going to be hungry and I have to climb mountains of garbage in order to get food. So that's just a philosophy of the approach of how just to do something simple like eating every meal. But that doesn't mean that it's actually true. That is in my own mind, in my own philosophy. So that is a Sagittarian kind of archetype or energy. But that doesn't mean you have to do it, because I don't even know if that applies at all. That is just a philosophy of how to approach life, how to do life, how to make decisions or not make decisions, how to think about things that are bigger and greater, that is beyond what we know, or beyond death, or beyond, you know, because there's something greater and bigger that is bigger than us out there. And so might as well try your best. That is at least my philosophy. And that pretty much wraps it up. So it's like a guru, spiritual teacher, philosopher, like a journalist, someone who oversees things, adventurous. It's all about all the international stuff, international people, countries, cultures, languages, writing, different languages, you know, different dialects, and just learning, because there's so many people on the planet and they don't live and approach life in the same way. So that's fascinating. So if you like to book a birth chart reading that is personalized to you, you can go to my website, www.natashascreativewellness.com. It is linked in the description box below. You can find it in there, and give me a full date of birth, location of your birth, city, state, country, whatever, and the time, AM, PM, and a good email, and I'll try and get that back to you as soon as possible. And if you don't see that in there, then I'm possibly taking a break. And maybe check out what? If I open up any kind of one-on-one coaching, because that will probably toggle on and off in the future. But as I make this video, it's only birth chart readings. And I have merchandise in things if you want to support, journals, yoga mats, based off of my art, but it's produced by a third party source. Yeah. Okay. I am Natasha, and I'll see you next time. Bye. So high, so high, so high.